Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be working on the 2014 ATS. There's been a differential leak. One of the seals have failed. I'm not sure which one. So we're just going to go ahead and replace them all while we're in there. So I'll show you how to do that. First you're going to do is loosen the lug nuts on the back two wheels. Get it up in the air, put it on jack stands, get the wheels off, and then we'll go underneath. Alright, so looking underneath, it looks like it could be the pinion seal, just based on how wet it is there, and then also this is the lowest part of the differential, so could be dripping running back, and also how the exhaust has some cook spots on it. Most likely not either of the axle seals or the seal on the rear cover. It's pretty wet, so it's been leaking for quite some time. But so we're going to start by pulling the exhaust off, and then that'll give us a little bit more room to work around the differential. Several hangers, just the slip boots on each side, and then there should be a flange somewhere that we can unbolt and get the exhaust out of the way. Alright, so this has the 2.0 turbo in it. So the flange that we're going to disconnect to drop the exhaust is up here. It connects to the down pipe. So it has two 14mm bolts. So, I guess those are nuts. So we'll take the nuts off and then drop the exhaust. Okay, so moving rearward, there's this cross brace. Has 4 bolts in it. We'll take them out. Those are 13mm. Alright, so the rear hangers, rearmost hangers, looking in between the tip and the bumper cover, there's two 15mm bolts that you have to take loose or take out to get that hanger off. So we're going to support the front of the exhaust with a jack, and then loosen these up, and then you should be able to drop the exhaust down. Alright, so we've got the exhaust off now. So starting at the rear, these are the rear hangers. They have the two 15mm nuts holding on each side. There's a rubber hanger right behind the muffler. One up close next to the resonator or Y-pipe, whatever that is. And then up here, this was the 2-bolt flange that connected to the downpipe. Alright, so next what we're going to do is loosen all the bolts on the drive shaft where it connects to the pinion flange, and see if there's enough play in the drive shaft joint to be able to get it to disconnect without having to drop the drive shaft. How to get it out of gear. So first you have these trim pieces on either side of the shifter. They snap out, just have the little metal push-in clips. And then there's two 7mm screws on one on each side there, and then here. And then you want to lift the surround up, and there's a small white wheel. See if I can get it to focus on it. And then basically you just want to take a screwdriver or something, go behind the wheel, pull it out, and then that'll allow you to move the shifter. Try to get a better shot of the wheel here. You lift it up a little bit. Yep, so that little piece of white plastic in there. You'll just want to get behind it and pull it toward the passenger seat, and then it'll release the shifter. Alright, so to drop the drive shaft, we ended up having to take this shield off. It had 8 10mm bolts holding that in, and then took the two 15mm bolts out of the universal joint there in the center of the drive shaft, so one on each side. So that allows us to see inside the pinion here, or the pinion flange, and as you can see the nut is staked on. So we're going to use a punch and try to make that round again, and then that way we can get the nut off and pull the yoke off. Alright, so we've got the pinion flange off now. One tip, make sure that these bolts stay in there. This rubber bushing can flex enough to where they can fall out, so make it a little bit easier putting it on. And there's a white paste seal, some sort of thread locker, some sort of adhesive that was in there, so we'll have to make sure to clean all that out when we put it back together. But this was the nut holding it on. You can see the stake marks. We used a punch and made it as round as possible to get it off. It was a 32 millimeter, and then we used this gear puller. Put the tip of it into the pinion and then pulled the flange off. Just hooked around the steel edge here. So we'll go underneath the car and look at the seal. You can see where it was obviously leaking, so we'll show you that. Alright, so we're looking at the pinion here, and you can see in the bottom part of the seal there's fluid on the outside, and it's not supposed to be there. The seal is supposed to contain it inside the housing. So we'll pull the seal out, clean up all this this white paste locker, and put a new seal in and put it back together. And so here we have the seal about halfway pulled out. I'm going to put a little catch pan in it just in case a little fluid dribbles out. Alright, so here's the pinion seal. Basically it sits in the differential like this facing toward the front of the car, this backside facing toward the rear of the car. Essentially I just used this seal puller, hooked in there and worked it around to get it to release. And then so we were going to install a new seal and start the reassembly. Alright, and if you need the part number for the pinion seal, there's two different differential options for this car, so make sure you select the right option when you're ordering a new seal. So this is what the new seal looks like. It has a little bit of grease already applied, and then the specialty service tool. It's a J21128. See if I can get it to focus on that. And so this tool is used to seat the new pinion seal. Alright, so we've got the new seal installed. Basically we use this tool, put it on here and then tapped it in. Not trying to hit a home run here, just tap it a little bit at a time until it's seated all the way around. Make sure you have the top, sides and bottom seated. Then we'll put the pinion flange back on. So there's a washer that goes inside here that the nut rides on. So it goes like this. So when you reassemble it, make sure you have the washer in there. Alright, so we have the drive shaft back up in place, the two 15mm bolts, and then we started the 3 bolts going through the pinion flange. We're going to put a little bit of thread locker in there. Went ahead and did some cleanup while we're under here, just to make it easier to see if we develop any future leaks. So we're going to tighten these 3 bolts up, put the heat shield back in up here, then we'll go ahead and fill the differential back full of fluid, and then put the exhaust back on. Alright, so this is the recommended fluid going back in. It's the AC Delco Dextron 70W90 GL5, and then we'll just use this little hand pump. It threads into the top of the bottle like that. You pump it to to get the fluid back in. So we'll take out the fill plug and top it off. Looking at the driver's side of the differential, you'll see these two plugs. The lower one's the drain plug, the higher one's the fill plug. You'll notice that there's a square fitting on it, and so that's for a 3/8 ratchet. So the ratchet just goes in there. I've already broke it loose, and then that's how you take these plugs out. So we'll go ahead and top the fluid off, and then go from there. Alright, so we filled it, fill it till it runs out, makes a little bit of a mess everywhere. Put your plug back in, tighten it up, and then move on to the next step. Alright, so put the exhaust back on, the two nuts on the down pipe. You have the 4 hangers, 2 on each side, and then in the very rear you have the 2 nuts on these back 2 hangers, 2 on each side. Alright, after you have the exhaust back on, then you want to put this cross brace back on. As 4 14mm bolts. Alright, so last thing, put the wheels and tires back on, put it on the ground, tighten it, take it for a test drive, and check for any leaks. Thanks for watching.